Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Sorry for being 2 minutes late, but we are having a thunderstorm. Well, actually, it's more than a thunderstorm, and the lights keep going in and out, in and out. So we are not sure. I hope we can continue with the program as we go, but the lightning is crazy. The thunder is crazy. I hope you get a chance to hear. Well, I hope you don't get a chance to hear how bad it is out here. Anyway, welcome aboard to everybody. Thank you for being here. We're going to try to get through this. We're going to try to get through the storms that's going through Houston right now. Anyway, AVQ, first in the house from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for being here. We also have in the house Michael Rudden, Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia, Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We also have Lee the Beer Cat from where's Lee the Beer Cat from? Austin, Texas, actually. Paul Fleming from, I think I got that, Powder Springs, New York. May Wood from Long Beach, California. Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Welcome aboard to all our great people in the chat from Substack. Stephen Moore, Catherine, Jennifer Lila, Kevin Newyer, Jennifer Jackson, Sabrina, Jane, John Heller, Paul Derek Moore, Gracie, Angela Cook, Robin Jones, Joe, Joy, Nickerson, Denise Alvarado, and growing. Thank you for being here. We're going to have a great program for you today. Specifically, what we also want to talk about is, we got two videos to show. I don't want to start the videos quite yet, just in case we get a power hit or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Common Dreams program. We have Denise Alvarado from Petaluma, California. Thank you for being here, Denise. What I want to start with is a Common Dreams article, A Disgrace is what the article is titled. And by the way, as we are talking about these problems, I want everybody listening to remember something. Alistair Waters just joined us as well. Alistair from Conroe, Texas. Look, as we talk about these issues, we have a tendency to talk about problems. And sometimes I always feel like we all know the problems, but we also need to have solutions. And let me tell you, the solution is always when we look in the mirror. Remember that. The solution is always when we look in the mirror. It is you all that are listening to me. An empowered you can actually get things done, because no matter what anybody tells you, these politicians want to get elected again. And you know what? Right now, money talks, but when money stops talking, they again starts listening to you. And if they listen to you, money doesn't have to talk. Let's give a perfect example. Wisconsin. The judiciary race in the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, Elon Musk threw millions of dollars into that race. And you know what happened? He lost it all, because the race was not even close. It was a landslide for the progressive judge. In other words, money didn't talk, people spoke. All right. Michael Rudden puts in there, NBC News, Trump's budget proposal of a variety of steep cuts to well-known government programs, including cutting a National Institute of Health by $18 billion compared with 2025 levels, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program by $4 billion, and the Centers for Disease Control Prevention by $3.6 billion. The budget also calls for various cuts to clean energy funding, education funding, scientific research, and international aid. And it proposes a funding boost for Trump and funding boost for Trump priorities, including $43 billion to boost the Department of Homeland Security, $113.3 billion for the Defense Department, and $500 million for the Health and Human Service Secretary Robert Kennedy. And you know what he wants to do, right? He wants to find alternative methods to solve measles. Wow. Trump doesn't care if another pandemic appears. Despite growing worries about bird flu, Trump doesn't care about the climate emergency. It's all about projecting power to crush the marginalized and outsider. The Trump administration has agreed to pay reparations to Ashley Babbitt, who attacked the United States Capitol on January 6th. Think about that. You commit a crime, and we, the taxpayer, pays your family for something you did. Wow. Babbitt was shot and killed when she climbed through a window to lead violent mob to attack Congress. This is some racist BS according to Paul Fleming. It is. They will compensate an insurrectionist who attacked the US government, but they are quick to say black people deserve to die if we sell a loose cigarette on the street or wear a hoodie on the train. That is so true. That is so true. Welcome aboard, Nora. Nora just joined us. All right. So let's go. Let me see if there's anything anybody else put in there that's worth mentioning. Paul Fleming says, Archdiocese on Fox News. What I am seeing is a president who is more interested in valuation of his meme coin than is about people's 401k. What I'm seeing is a president who, along with Howard Lutnick, is self-dealing on crypto. By the way, Howard Lutnick owns his own crypto business on the side instead of worrying about the strength of the US dollar. And, they want to have a crypto fund. They want America, just like we have different, we have the backing for the dollar. We want, Trump wants to buy crypto in reserves. Folks, crypto is a computer program, no backing. People may say, well, the dollar doesn't have backing. No, the dollar has the backing of the value of the United States, right? The faith in the United States. Crypto is a program that if it goes haywire, we don't even know if that blockchain that crypto is built on, if there are bugs, there could be a bug that wiped out everything yesterday. I mean, the level of grift that occurs in this country under and that people actually think it's of value is just astounding to me. But it's something we'll speak about and continue to work on, etc., etc., etc. All right, what else have we got? Yvette Avery Herod is in the house. Hi, Yvette. Glad to see you here, sis. We also have E2247 says Senate closing in on passing budget bill, cut Medicaid, SNAP, other assistance programs by billions, all to continue funding inhumane deportation of immigrants, citizens alike, and give number 47 billionaires more tax breaks. The budget also calls for giving ICE $800 million for bonuses. Think about that. $42,000 per agent, man. $42,000 per agent. Just go round up those brown people. Round them up, cage them. It's like the slave catcher. Round them up, and then we'll throw them out of here. Nah, we'll first send them to El Salvador so that my friend in El Salvador can make some money from the taxpayer to house them, to feed them. Don't forget, you have to buy some of the products from our American companies, and we'll take care of them. Hey, we got to lock them up in Texas. We pay the person who owns the prison. We pay the companies who sell the food. We pay those guys who are there, the private companies that are providing the guards. Man, the grift. They're using human bodies to make money. And we are complicit. Those who elected Donald Trump are complicit. Complicit in slavery. Complicit in inhumanity. How do you feel about that? What willful ignorance allows you to just put that out of your mind? Think about it. What willful ignorance allows you to put that out of your mind? Before I forget, by the way, folks, tomorrow we will be having Ask Egberto Anything. So don't forget to go ahead and sign up for Ask Egberto Anything at politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto. I should put that. This is the first one we're having in a long time. Every weekend I had a something to go to. I have something to go to this weekend, but I couldn't miss another Ask Egberto Anything. So I decided I won't go to the protest tomorrow. We will have Ask Egberto Anything. And here is the link for Ask Egberto. I'm putting it in the chat. And I think I'm going to put it into my I'm going to put it into the feed for Substack as well. If I can bring it up on my phone here, I think I should be able to do that rather quickly. Substack guys, forgive me. You know, Substack has been having a few problems with the feed, but I think I can get it in the feed. Here's a link to sign up for. There's a link to sign up for Ask Egberto Anything. It's going to be tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central. Ask Egberto Anything. You can speak on our Zoom. Hope some of you make it. We haven't had it in several months now, like 2 or 3 months. I think it's more like 3 months. Oh, maybe 2 months. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, folks, so sign up for Ask Egberto. Anyway, it sounds like the thunders is not as loud anymore. So let's go ahead and play the first video. That's what I'm going to do. Since we started about let's go ahead and do it. I'll start it right now, and then we'll take it on the other side. Elon Musk, with Doge, claimed he was going to save $2 trillion. Then, when he realized that was an impossibility, he said he was going to save $1 trillion. And then he ultimately said, oh, we saved $150 billion, but nobody can find in reality more than $5 billion. And in the process, he disrupted the federal government. He got a whole lot of people laid off. And in the process, a lot of research was discontinued. A lot of people were harmed. I want you to listen to this report, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You've been talking for this special to a fired Centers for Disease Control epidemiologist who had to leave his research on black lung in coal miners behind. Let's take a look at that.
But what that says is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different publications that you were working on.
Correct.
And
we're a very busy and efficient shop.
You're seeing a lot of pain from people talking about the impact of these programs that were just slashed, it seemed, without much of a second thought.
Let me just reiterate what we just watched. That guy's name is Scott Laney, and he's an epidemiologist within NIOSH, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. His primary objective as a federal employee for decades has been studying black lung in coal miners in West Virginia. Yeah. He's been fired. That program's been eliminated. Most of his colleagues no longer can even get into the office to go to work. They studied things like the masks that we wore during COVID. They go to firefighting emergencies where people die and study the cause of death. They're part of HHS, so they're studying medical research, the number one thing in some of these polls that people say that the Trump administration is doing incorrectly. President Trump put into place an executive order to expand coal mining in West Virginia the week after they fired all of these folks in Morgantown. I am so excited for the special, especially to do it with Steph. Nobody in my 10 years at MSNBC has given me more time and people more time to think about and talk about what life is really like outside of a studio like this or in New York. I want to show everybody just a little bit more of what Scott Laney had to say to me about losing his job in West Virginia. Watch this. 1 in 5 miners, 20%, has black lung.
That's correct.
And are they all going to die?
Our data indicate that these people will die sooner than they should, sooner than the rest of us who work jobs like this.
And what you're trying to do is reverse that trend.
That's what NIOSH is here for.
Literally, Jonathan, we're talking about life or death decisions being made by the federal government, by the Trump administration. The firing of these workers will result in more people, in this case, more coal miners, dying sooner than they have to because of the research that's being eliminated by this administration.
Now, Musk, Why would anybody believe Musk? Musk has been talking about doing things and he's been exaggerating his abilities for several decades now. In fact, over the last 10 years, every year, the next year, he would have a car, he would have self-driving cars that actually work. Of course, China has already completed the task, because Elon Musk doesn't his Tesla technology has lagged far behind everybody else's because, again, how does he make his money? He's living on the dole. Remember that. Elon Musk is not a true independent type person making money on his own. He's a government entity, has always been. All three of his major companies, that's what he does. He knows nothing about government. He comes into government, he almost destroys many different agencies within the government. Now, look at what he's done. And Donald Trump should be aware of this. Donald Trump should be aware that all these budgetary cuts, all these people being laid off, harms all Americans, but specifically it harms MAGA. Look at now he just started about opening coal mine and reducing coal mine regulations. And in the same process, he stops the research on black lung disease, which over half or so of coal miners get working in these mines. It is shameful. It is shameful that the mainstream media, as in the aggregate, doesn't point out the dangers of all these cuts in government jobs and what it actually does to people, not only, again, in Washington, D.C., which most of the agencies are outside of Washington, D.C., how much damage it is doing to research, how much damage is it doing to healthcare, how much damage it's doing to your environment. Elon Musk is doing to America exactly what he has done to Tesla. And it's not good. Exactly, and it's not good. It's not good. Good point. E2247 says, Egberto, please ask us all, what comes to your mind when you hear or say the term U.S. exceptionalism? What is the meaning of that idea or reality? I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. What does U.S. exceptionalism say about itself? Do we self-describe as the most democratic society in the world? Do we say the most moral nation anywhere? What are the origins of U.S. exceptionalism? History speaks for itself as we study origins of the idea that is U.S. exceptionalism. We should have a working definition of U.S. exceptionalism. So I submit. This is E2247 speaking. U.S. exceptionalism is a settler colonial ideology and a movement to establish a U.S. global presence throughout domination and elimination of existing opposition to greater U.S. empire. Actually, how could that not be the definition given the actions of the United States? How could that not be the definition given the actions of the United States? Continuing with E2247, he says, historically, U.S. exceptionalism emerged out of a relied upon upon Western European imperialism. There are three key characteristics of it: imperialism, foreign sponsorship and subsidies, white supremacism, core conflict between colonized and colonizers' respective societies, and militarization, use of force to establish a white majority, remove indigenous cultures, and suppress resistance to colonialism. I want to make an exception to that, but let me finish reading what you have to say. In the Americas, foreign sponsorship and subsidies from Western Europe monarchs and Dutch, English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese understand social, political, and historical conditions that allow that allow U.S. exceptionalism to emerge as idea and as practical movement. Understand origins and three key characteristics of U.S. exceptionalism. understand the effects of the United States, the District of Columbia, and the insular areas on persons all over the world, whether U.S. citizens or not. Understand that SCOTUS has declared corporations are persons and how they, in fact, impels the U.S. exceptionalism idea and practical movement. That's a very good essay that you just wrote down there, my brother. That's a very Rudden, I saw the map. I'm going to put it on, but let me finish with E2247's concept, a very, very important tutorial that he just went ahead and put in the chat. E2247, you've outdone yourself on that one. You've outdone yourself on that one. It is information that very few of us really take the time to understand. I mean, when I speak about it on my KPFT program, too often what people tell me is I'm un-American, to which I say, no, that makes me more American than anything else. We want to make our country a better country, and you can only make your country a better country if you know its faults and you work towards fixing those faults. E2247, very good work. All right. Earlier, Fleming pointed out that we are increasing the budget. And before I show that, let me show the piece that Ratnin wants to show first of all. And that is fixing those faults. E2247, very good work. All right. Wait, I need to shut something
Earlier,
down
Fleming
here.
pointed, I think it was Fleming.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right, I fixed that. All right, here is the deal, folks. Here's the deal. Look at that chart. That chart, and by the way, that chart is not correct anymore because our defense budget is now over $1 trillion. But look at that chart. That chart tells how much we spend on defense. Remember, we are 4% of the world's population. We are 4% of the world's population. Our defense budget is about close to them half of the world's defense, or of the 15 largest countries' defense budget. The other ones don't even compute. Look at the biggest country in the world is China. I'm talking about population. And check this out. China spends less than a third of what we spend. We spend in 2024. In 2024, we spent $968 billion. China spent $235 billion. Oh, I'm sorry. I think the audio is there now. Okay. Yeah, China spent $235 billion. A country at war, Russia, spent $146 billion. Germany, a big country, 86. The UK, 81. India, 74. The second most populous country in the world, $74 billion. Saudi Arabia, $72 billion. Kind of wonder why they spend so much. France, $64 billion. Imagine, Saudi Arabia spends more than France. You know why? Because they buy a lot of our equipment. The defense industrial complex, I tell you, you will not imagine the profit margins in the defense industrial complex. That $968 billion that you see there, think most of that is not in material. Don't let them fool you. Most of that is a wealth transfer to rich people in this country. That $968 billion that you see in our defense budget, that's not going from material. That is going into the budget, into the pockets of many of our wealthy people. Folks, I wish you got it. A lot of you do. But it is clear that a lot of you do. But it is something that I think visually makes sense. Visually, you can see how terrible that is. It is a sham. It is a shame. And guess what? They, over the last decade, they have not passed an audit. And guess where Doge didn't go? to audit that $968 billion. So they are given more money to the defense industrial complex this year as they cut the budget. And this opens the door for the next subject that I want to talk about. And here it goes. A disgrace. I hope you guys on let me see if the chat can see, if our people on Substack can see this chart, or do I need to cover my face with it? I think you guys can actually see it, but I want to make sure before yeah, it's showing up. All right, look, let's be clear. This party has no heart. This is an inhumane party. This is a party where only green matters. So let's take a look at this story. A disgrace. Trump budget gives $1 trillion to military while slashing programs for working class. President Trump has made his priorities clear as day. He wants to outright defund programs that help working Americans while he shovels massive tax breaks at billionaires like himself. The budget blueprint that the US President Donald Trump unveiled Friday would give a record $1.01 trillion to the American military for the coming fiscal year, while imposing, hear this, $163 billion in total cuts to housing, education, healthcare, climate, and labor programs. The proposal released by the Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought, and remember, Russell Vought is the author of Project 2025, one of the major authors of Project 2025, was viewed by Democratic lawmakers and other critics as a clear statement of the White House's intent to gut programs that working class Americans rely on while pursuing another round of tax breaks for the ultra wealthy and bolstering the Pentagon, a morass of waste and abuse. How do we know it's a waste and abuse? They cannot pass in an audit. Remember, all the audit generals, all the, what kind of generals you call them, those guys that watch that, all of it, they can't pass it. President Trump has made his priorities clear as day, said Senate Patty Murray, Vice Chair of Senate Appropriation Committee. He wants to outright defund programs that help working Americans while he shovels massive tax breaks at billionaires like himself and raises taxes on middle-class Americans with his reckless tariffs. And he raises more taxes not only on middle-class Americans, but on MAGA Americans. You guys are going to be the biggest payers of it when you go to Walmart and everywhere else. This president believes we should shred at least $163 billion in investments here at home that make all the difference for families and have been essential to American success, but that we should hand billionaires the biggest corporate trillions in new tax breaks. Murray added, this is outrageous and it should offend every hard-working American who wants their tax dollars to help them live a good life, not pad the pockets of billionaires. I want anybody to tell me this is a budget that speaks humanity. Does anybody want to say that? This is a budget that speaks humanity? I don't think so. According to the OMB summary, Trump's fiscal year 2026 budget would cut over $4.5 billion from Title I and K through 12 education programs, $4 billion from a program that provides heating assistance to low-income households, $2.4 billion from safe drinking water funding, $26 billion from rental assistance programs, and you know we have a home crisis, right? We have a crisis in housing. $17 billion from the National Institutes of Health. We have a pandemic on the horizon, bird flu, that's about to jump to human beings. But hey, we're not going to do any more research on that. $100 million from environmental justice programs, $1.3 billion from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. And you know, We have more hurricanes. Now we're going to have less people and less resources to tell us about these hurricanes. It's amazing. And $4.6 billion from the Labor Department. President Trump is again betraying the millions of Americans who believed him when he promised lower costs. Nope. Hey, MAGA, he decided that he's going to sucker you because he knows, look, they've taught you not to think critically. They've taught you to go ahead and say, well, let's give tariffs a chance. I want to back up from this article for a bit and tell you a little bit about tariffs. Donald Trump placed a 10% across the board tariff. Then he went ahead and he put 25% on Mexico, 25% on Canada, 145% on China, right? So everybody is thinking 25% on Canada, 25% on Mexico, 145 on China. And then by the time it's all over, it just may be 10% across the board. And everybody going to say, oh, we dodged the bullet. But if your tariffs used to be 1% or between 1% and 3%, and after he inflated big tariffs on China and Canada and Mexico, and now you're just saying, okay, we'll do 10%. A lot of people are going to look at that and say, oh, a win, not realizing you have inflated your raw material costs. You have inflated your imported costs by 10%. People. The con is on. The con is on. And you are the one who are going to feed it. For that budget to work, listen to me well. For that tax cut to work, Donald Trump has to find money. Doge was a failure. I repeat, Doge was a failure. Even as Doge claimed $160 billion, which is less than 1% of what he's looking for, or 10% of what he's looking for, actually less than 1% of what he's looking for, Doge was a failure. Doge was a complete failure. So therefore, he wants his budget passed sometime in May. So he wants the tariff situation is not going to be solved by then. Because what he wants OMB to see is he wants OMB to see a 145% tariff on China, a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada, and a 10% tariff on the rest of the world. Then they're going to do their calculations as far as supposedly how much money they're going to raise from that tariff. And then that's a budget calculations they'll use to get the bill passed. After the bill is passed, then they intend to go ahead and negotiate all these tariffs down so that it doesn't simply destroy the economy with not only hyperinflation, but other issues. But by then, the bill is passed. Even though the bill will create a big crater in the deficit, guess what? His people has already gotten their tax cuts. And they already got their high interest rates that they're getting for loaning us the money for the deficit, the tax cut costs. So they're going to make money from the tax cut. They're going to make money from the appreciation in their stocks because of the tax cuts. And they're going to make money loaning us the money and charging us an interest rate that is inflated because interest rates are higher as China and Japan sells off bonds. Man, oh man. And guess who's left holding the bag? MAGA, you are the ones that's going to go into Walmart and pay more. Hey, MAGA, all the cheap stuff that you buy on Temu and all these other places, you're going to be paying that tax, brother, sister. You're going to be paying that tax. You were used, and they care nothing about you. When they cut Medicaid, which is what they're doing, more hospitals in your rural areas going to close. Hey, here in the cities, these hospitals are going to stay open. They're huge. They're big. Everybody comes here to Houston, to Cleveland, to the Kettering Center in Ohio, I believe it is, or wherever it is at. All right. Those hospitals stay open. Those are blue states, blue voters, blue areas, blue towns, blue counties. Those hospitals stay open. You have voted to cut Medicaid. Guess which hospitals are going to close? Those rural hospitals who depend on all the MAGA folks that are on Medicaid. Understand that you are being screwed, my brothers and sisters that are MAGA. You are being screwed by the guy you voted in. I find it ironic that so many of you are yet to understand what is actually going on here. I just find it hard to believe that many of you have failed to understand that. Let's continue with the article, though. I gave you exactly how they think they're going to pay for it. But by the way, remember I said it's not enough to just speak about problems. You have to be able to say, but how do we solve it? Well, there's no vote yet, right? I told you what they're going to do. They're not going to solve the tariff problems until the budget is passed. And the reason they have to do that is because they need these high tariffs so that OMB can make the calculations to pass the bill. To say there's money coming in somewhere else to pay for the tax cut. That's what they need to do. So we're not going to get any resolution until they pass that budget. OMB needs those numbers. But you can stop it. The solution to the problem is to look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. You are the solution to the problem. You can make sure and call your congressperson, whether they're MAGA, whether they're blue, I don't care who they are. You can be on the streets as many are already. Remember that 3% number? You can make that difference. You can make that difference. You can put the fear of the people before that bill gets passed. And I guarantee you that bill will not get passed. And you know what's going to happen? Continuing resolutions, which means status quo. Nothing happens. You can do that. All of you that are listening to my voice can tell all the people that you know, it's not a fait accompli. It's not done. It's not complete. No está terminado. You can make a difference. Continuing the article. President Trump is again betraying the millions of Americans who believed him when he promised to lower costs. This time he's taking aim at anyone who attends a public school, relies on rental assistance to keep a roof over their heads, or accesses health care through Medicaid or Medicare. Instead of standing up for everyday Americans, Trump is prioritizing his own wallet and the tax benefits of his wealthy donors, leaving communities and small towns to bear the brunt. Bobby Kogan, Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at Center of American Progress, noted that the cuts to social programs in the White House's budget proposal are extreme by any standard, but they are extreme even by Trump's own standard, far exceeding even what he proposed during his first term. And who's going to pay that price again? MAGA, can you hear me? The cuts in this budget are especially egregious when you consider that Trump is also trying to push the largest Medicaid and food assistance cuts in American history through Congress over the next few months. Meanwhile, the U.S. military will see $113 billion in budget increases as we starve our children, as we cut Head Start, as we cut programs that many Americans depend on. Show me your budget. I can tell you about your morals. I can tell you about your values. I can tell you how humane you are. I can tell you all of that. And what we have is the height of inhumanity. What we have is an evil administration, and I'm not saying that lightly. What we have is an administration that is simply evil. When you can harm the people who put you into office, knowing that the policies that you pass will close hospitals, it is sad. And folks, like I tell you though, please, 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 don't think this is fait accompli. Don't think this is already cooked. I told you what the plan is, but until that plan turns into a bill from Congress that passes the Senate and the House, and the president signs it, there ain't no bill. Remember that. You still have the power to stop this. You still have the power to make sure that Congress can only hold time. And what do I mean by hold time? Continue to pay for the government via continued resolutions, via CR, which means the Biden budget stands. And you have the power to do that. You have the power to do that. And it is incumbent on you to do that. Folks, you can talk. Glenn is complaining about, tell me again, voting for Democrats is somehow morally superior to Republicans. Look, Glenn, I get it about Gaza. Right now, I'm concentrating on America. I care about the humanity of Gaza. I hate what we have done to Gaza, but but there's nobody who voted for Donald Trump made things better for Gaza. You can't tell me what would have happened if Kamala Harris had gotten the vote. Okay, you can't. Now, here is the deal, folks. What I want you, and by the way, phones are open now. You can give me a call, 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. I'm going to play my last video because you know who's going to save us? Gen Z women. Who's going to save us? Earlier this week, Steve Kornacki, formerly of MSNBC, now working strictly for NBC, came out with a poll that, and it was demographically aligned to show Trump's strength with what demographic and also from a policy standpoint. And it turns out that there is a big surprise in that poll. Well, a big surprise to me. I want you to listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Welcome back. We have brand new poll numbers this morning with some warning signs for President Trump's agenda. Here to break it all down for us is NBC News Chief Data Analyst Steve Kornacki. Steve, it's great to have you here in person. What are you watching in these numbers?
Yeah, Kristen, some interesting numbers, a little different kind of poll here. This is the NBC Stay Tuned poll looking deeply at the youngest group of voters, Gen Z voters, but it's such a big pool. We also can show you everybody, all adults. So look at the comparison here, getting a look at this generation. Again, when we say Gen Z, what are we talking? We're talking to people under 30 years old, newest, youngest set of voters. Overall, what you're seeing here is Donald Trump, not that popular. You see, overall, 45 approve, 55 disapprove, but much less popular. It's basically 2-to-1 disapprove among Gen Z. This is a more anti-Trump, Trump hostile generation than we see in the other generations. This extends to Trump policies, trade, tariffs. Again, overall, not that popular.
We have to pause here, Steve. You can't overstate the significance of this. The economy was really the number one issue for voters and one of the main reasons President Trump won the White House.
Exactly. These numbers you see on the economy in his first term look very different than this. And it's not good overall. And again, what you see is much more negative among that youngest set of voters here. How about just optimism about the future? Is it there? Is the country going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Again, overall, this is similar to what we had in our own NBC poll a couple months back. Overall, 40 right track, 60 wrong track. Again, more pessimistic Gen Z. Now, where this gets interesting, though, is I keep saying Gen Z, more Trump hostile, more anti-Trump. There's really part of Gen Z that's powering this and part that isn't. And it has to do with gender. We talk about gender gaps, but look at this, Kristen. Among men in Gen Z, 45-55, Trump's approval rating. That's what we saw with everybody. Among women, That's where he falls off the cliff.
And of course, the gender gap was so significant in the 2024 election, continues to be an important factor.
And when you looked in 24, a lot of folks thought it might be bigger, and it wasn't in the older generations. It was here. And this is what really stands out. It's Gen Z, this side of the gender gap. Women, Gen Z, much more progressive, much more liberal. We're going to see this on issue after issue than any other group, any generation. So again, looking at Trump's approval rating, this is the percentage of people who approve of his job. And again, look, it's so consistent. Men across these generations, women, it's in the four. Look how much that stands out right there. And this extends to some personality, some issues. Just again, look at this. Do you have a favorable view of the Republican Party? All adults, 44. Gen Z men, it's the same. Look, it falls off a cliff with Gen Z women. Totally different than every other group. Trump's handling of DEI, we asked about. Again, similar, totally different. Gen Z women. Favorable view of Musk. Again, you see it right there. And two more, Kristen. Do you agree? There are two genders. Big drop off for Gen Z women. And how about this question? Just about basic attitudes about, are you proud to be an American? Are you only a little or not at all proud? 22% of all adults say that. 22% of Gen Z men, almost double Gen Z women. That is what's powering the liberalism you see among Gen Z.
So it turns out that the most progressive group in the aggregate in our country are not necessarily Gen Zs, because a lot of Gen Z men have actually sort of jumped on the right-wing conservative bandwagon, but Gen Z women, the most progressive group in the aggregate than anyone else. And you know what? I can understand that. These are women still in their formative years, and they have no intention of falling for the patriarchy. For the women who had the gall to vote for Donald Trump, even as he has been pronounced a rapist by a judge, even as he has been convicted of assaulting women, even as he has been stealing and anti-woman in many ways, the women who voted for him, these Gen Z women are not like that at all. These Gen Z women are proud. These Gen Z women know who they are. And, I work with a lot of them as I do quite a bit of our activism. These are confident women that no man of any sort, of any age, is going to tell them what to do. And for the women who continue to support the patriarchy, they never let them forget it. Gen Z women have all races, creeds, religion. They just may be the savior of democracy. And I really mean that. I mean that to the core of my heart. When I look at the numbers, I'm like, thank God for Gen Z women. And and all these Gen Z women that I know, the spunk, the power that they exude, it's just, what can I say? Remember that phrase? It's just marvelous. It's just marvelous. Anyway, folks. We're at 52. I can take a couple of calls. Telephone number 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to give me a call, please feel free to do so now. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. Seems like we're having some issues with Substack, but that's okay. Give me a call. I repeat, the number is 281-823-7747. We have a message here from Denise Alvarado. She says, as they're more progressive or just hate Trump. I'm not denying it. It's the poll didn't state the ideals. Actually, if you look at what the polls, the individual issues that they spoke about in the polls, Denise, it actually, you could actually see that it was based on progressive values. And Eric Hayes, there was not one PDR lie. I don't know what you're talking about. Name a PDR. You made a blanket statement. I would like to hear you specify, not just in gibberish, specify a lie that we told on this program today. Give me a lie. Give me a lie that we told on the program. You see, you guys can speak a lot, but you can't ever back yourself up by facts. Ever. All right, my brothers and sisters, we're at 54 right now. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds for a telephone call. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and do my ask. To be clear, air traffic controllers, some did get laid off till they found out. Oh my God, you mean some traffic controllers are getting laid off? So yeah, some did. By the way, I know of one right here that worked that was a part of the Kingwood area Democrats. All right, let's go ahead. How you're doing, my brother Ray Brackens? Talk to me.
Just chilling out here on this Friday. It's a little gloomy outside, but let me tell you, I was looking at that budget that you showed, and every time I see that, it makes me sick.
It should.
It's like China, which has over 2 billion people, it begs a lot of questions. Like, if America is like a third of the population, why do we need so many weapons? You know what I'm saying?
Let me correct something.
So much money.
Please, brother, please. You didn't even have it as bad as it is, my brother. America is 4% of the population. 4%. A third would be 33%. America is 4%. Brother, it's 10 times, almost 10 times less than a third. Not quite, but almost 10 times less than a third. Think about that, Ray. That is how we have been played.
Think about it like this. Like, if you had a neighbor, not even just a country, if you had a neighbor and they went broke on just buying guns and weaponry, or if everything they had revolved around guns, that to me would say that person is either somebody who's into something they don't have no business, and they got a lot of enemies, and that's the problem. I think the reason why America has so much money tied into that is because we know we have a lot of enemies, and they use that as a crutch to say we need the money, we need safety, we need national security because of all of the people who hate us. Yeah, they hate us because of the crap that we're doing. And to the MAGA people like Mike Cisak, you know what I mean? I'm calling him out by name. I don't know him, but I say, like that young lady said this morning on the show when you were trying to close out, I like what she had to say. And I'm a rephrase what she said. How in the hell is your life better because of what Donald Trump is doing and his minions?
It's not.
And really answer that question.
Yeah. And see, I am going to cut. Yeah, I'm going to cut the clip out. I'm glad that you reminded me, because I had a whole lot to do this before today, and I archived that already, and I didn't clip it. But you just reminded me. So you did your good part for PDR today, my dear Brackens, because I have to go cut that piece out to play as well. So look, E2247 is giving us some important information. Email your senators to protest this horrendous budget, and or phone them both through the U.S. Capitol switchboard, 202-224-3121. Again, that number is 202-224-3121. Again, Ray, I want everybody to understand that we are pointing out that what the budget and their plans are. I explained how they intend to fool America into funding this thing, but in reality, it won't be funded. In reality, it simply is going to blow up the budget. And as they blow up the budget, don't expect them next year to increase taxes, but expect them to do what they always do: borrow the money from all the rich people who are going to now make a higher interest rate because we're in so much debt. It's a circle that we can stop today. But look, we're out of time right now, and we're out of time right now, so we got to shut this baby down. So thank you for calling in, Ray, and we'll talk on Monday, okay?
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, we are done for the day. I want to thank everybody for listening, but more importantly, I'd like to ask you to support the program. Please support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and become a paid subscriber. By becoming a paid subscriber, you get a whole lot of benefits. And you know what? I tell you what I hadn't done before. I don't think I put the about of our. Let me go ahead and do that right now. I don't think I put the about on our Substack, and let me do that. Egberto, let's see, egberto.substack.com. Ponlo allá adentro, por favor. Come on, get in there. What I'm going to do, come on. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having a little bit of technical problems right here, but I'm going to fix those technical problems right now. All right. What I want to do is I want to tell you, if those people who become, and let me put that on the screen as well. Those people who become paid subscribers of our. Okay, guys, I'm not taking any more calls. I'm not taking any more calls. I'm not taking any more calls. Here we go. Free subscribers get a full access to our newsletter and website. You never miss an update. Twice daily Substack live, politics done right, media live. Okay, that is what the free subscribers get. The paid subscribers get this whole list here. And why is my mouse not working? Let me go ahead and use my other mouse. All right, paid subscribers get full access and free sections for our newsletter, access to all 5 of my current books free of charge on this platform, and that is It's Worth It, How to Make America Utopia as I See It, Class Warfare, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. We also get access to all subsequent books that I write, and I have 3 of them that I'm writing right now, and 3 additional books that I'm writing. And we also get the ability to comment on every single one of our newsletter. You also get, some of you will be invited to appear on Politics Done Right if I see a comment we need to explore. Future Zoom and more. On-demand process video broadcast of the live Politics Done Right show. Periodic real-time chats with me on Substack platform. We're working on other perks. And request a Substack Live to discuss a topic that interests you. So people who become paid subscribers, there's a lot that, in order to try to get you to support this platform, to support the projects that we're working on, that is the additional kind of perks that we give to you. So I want to ask all of you, if you have the wherewithal, to please become paid subscribers to our Substack. Denise Alvarado said, as a paid subscribers, I want a kiss from Egberto. Well, the next time I see you, Miss Denise Alvarado, I'll do just that. Let's see. There is the Substack, the address to the link. It's at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.